Welcome to another episode of Simon Says, where facts come first. It's your host, Jenny Simon. And today we're going to delve into the last week, which was a very interesting week. So we're going to go through a few of the press conferences or press releases that came out over the past week. Before we do so, we take a quick break and come right back.
Mount Pure Natural Mineral Water begins as rainfall, which percolates through the untouched rainforest and rocks of the Roll River Mountain. This natural filtration system protects the water from pollution, giving us a unique collection of minerals from the natural underground artesian aquifer. The water then flows naturally to the surface under pressure without pumping. As it reaches the surface, it is directly piped and bottled at our processing facility. We ensure that the water stays pure and safe so that it is ready for you to enjoy the excellent taste and natural health benefits. Not all water can make the grade when it comes to natural mineral water. Mount Pure offers a consistent composition and purity, so we can tell you exactly what you are drinking. Mount Pure guarantees you a perfect taste every time. Don't say water, say Mount Pure. Taste the difference. Enjoy the benefits.
Welcome back. It was a very interesting week, to say the least. It was the week when the nation learned that the Jonty Robinson murder case was solved. And that is according to Superintendent Vanny Cohen, who held a special press conference on Friday, the 15th of September in the afternoon, to let us know that they've broken the case, they've solved the murder, and that's his word, in his word, solved the murder, but they couldn't answer any other questions or wouldn't answer any other questions. Let's play the clip to hear him first before we continue.
A few days ago, we engaged with you in a press briefing where we announced some successes we have had in some of the murder cases that we are currently investigating. In that press conference, we said we were cautiously optimistic that we were going to solve other murder cases that are currently under investigation. Today, I do wish to announce that the RGPF has, in fact, solved the Jonty murder case. Someone currently is in police custody, whom we hope to charge later today or over the weekend for the death of Jonty. It's a 29-year-old male who resides in the south of the island. At this point, we do not wish to release the name of the individual, as this investigation is still ongoing, even as we speak.
Right, so a 29-year-old male from the south of the island. That was as much as what the info that was given to the media and to those of us looking on and listening on. Nothing more. So by 7 o'clock that evening, there were several photos of different young men, I guess all in that age range, from the south, going around in social media, on WhatsApp, as suspects, because it was left open. By sometime later on in the evening and early the next morning, the morning of the 16th of September 23, couple media entities had stories, put out stories out there, giving the name of the gentleman, of the young man, his name, and there's photos going around of who he was, And yeah, everybody was just sending out these photos, and you had the media entities giving news on the whole story, which we didn't get from the police the afternoon before. I am happy that, according to Superintendent Cohen, that the murder case has been solved. I spoke on this program about Jonty and how close he was to me and my daughter, and so I am happy. But we have to talk about what I call chackaness in, not just with the police, it's just a general chackaness that goes on, that's taking place now. Nothing smooth and flowing nice, and you can say, yes, that was a great press conference. Yes, that was nothing smooth to this point. We're a year and a quarter into this thing. And the name and the age of this individual who is in custody with the police, we not yet have that down packed, because we've heard several. As a matter of fact, I've heard age 20, 28, 29, 30. We had named Javid, Jarrell, Javier. I don't know if that's how you pronounce Javier. That was on the police release. Javier Ramon. Right? We need to know, and I'm speaking to Superintendent Cohen and the RGPF. We need to know the real name and the age of the young man, because this thing not sounding right. The police release on Monday, the 18th September, named him Javier, 28-year-old Javier Ramon. If you paid attention to the clip that was played before with Superintendent Cohen, he said a 29-year-old young man from the South, right? And in fact, I would read the release, it's short, because at that point, they no big set of thing for them to come and say on Monday, when on the weekend, since Friday evening, as a matter of fact, and well, Saturday morning, we get the full story of how the crime happened. It was all out there, so they just had to come and give us this hurriedly a release which said, and it came from the Royal Grenada Police Force, a press release, the date, Monday the 18th September 2023, update, Grandin's resident charged in connection with Jonty's death, and it says Javier Ramon, 28-year-old, unemployed, of Circular Drive, Grand Anse Housing Scheme, St. George, made his first appearance before the St. George's Magistrate Court today, Monday, the 18th September 2023, and was remanded to His Majesty's prison. Mr. Ramon is scheduled to reappear in court on Thursday, the 5th October 2023. And it says the source, Office of the Commissioner of Police, and the contact is the Community Relations Department. Now, that's it. So we get there from the press conference with Superintendent Cohen, and the release put out, coming from the Commissioner's Office, put out by the RGPF, different name. Well, they didn't name him in the press conference, but his age was 29-year-old there. In the release, he's 28-year-old. On in the media releases and coming from the different entities, his name is Javid Ramon. One really says 20-year-old. One says 29. In my research, I saw he, according to what I received, he would be 30. He's 30, right? Because he was born in 1993, I think it was, right? So he would be 30. He's 30 now in May of 1993, which makes him, and his name there in the information I got is Jarrell Ramon, who would be 30. So we need to know, just get that sorted out, that bit sorted out. I am proud that they got to this point, the breakthrough, and all I want, and I know most of Grenada, if not all of Grenada, wants justice for Jonty. Also in the past week, the week of September 10th to September 16th, the Prime Minister left the country on the 14th to attend the Group of 77 and China Summit, the G77 and China Summit in Havana, Cuba, to return on Sunday, the 17th of September. In a press release on that same day, the day he left, the 14th, 2023, headed press secretary. So the release is coming from the press secretary, Prime Minister's office, 6th floor ministerial complex. Let's see that the release. And this release stated that Honorable Dennis Cornwall, and I'm quoting here at the last paragraph in the release, which stated that Honorable Dennis Cornwall has been appointed acting Prime Minister in the absence of Prime Minister Mitchell. So that was on Thursday the 14th. That's during the afternoon. Later on that evening, without rescinding that release or giving an explanation, another press release appeared. And this time, in the last paragraph, Minister Andy Williams was made acting Prime Minister, or was listed as acting Prime Minister in the absence of Prime Minister Mitchell. So right now, of course, people get confused. Who is our Prime Minister acting as our Prime Minister? Well, yes, is our Prime Minister in the absence of the Honorable Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell. Which one? And I just think we're too big for all these little mistakes now. We reached that point where we should have already gotten to the point where it's smooth sailing. But there's reasons for that, and I'll come to that later on, right? So according to my research, the acting Prime Minister normally has to be sworn in by the Governor General. And that has to be gazetted, that whoever the individual is at the time that's acting, right? What I understand is that Minister Cornwall was out of Ireland. And actually, it seemed as though he had left the island before the Prime Minister. In my mind, I'm thinking the Prime Minister, the cabinet of the country, should be informed when a minister, a member of the cabinet, is leaving the country, leaving the island. But if not the entire cabinet, I would think the Prime Minister should know where his soldiers are. at all times. At all times. I am not sure. I have no clue where the mess up came from. However, more than one person should be held responsible for this big mess up, big mistake, because the press secretary putting out a release without verifying and make sure and speaking to the minister, he could have been ill. He could have been lying down on a hospital bed and not yet get the message out. He could have been in the doctor's office. He could have been ill and you don't know where he is and what's up. So I would think that you would check, make a check and let him know that the release is about to come out. And then if you put out a release and he's supposed to be sworn in by the GG, how that happen and he's not in the country? So were we just going ahead and doing our own thing, naming an acting prime minister without following the rules, the laws, the steps, the different steps taken to get to that point? We just all over the place. We just all over the place. And you know, I heard a minister only a couple of nights ago, maybe last night itself, in a town hall saying that they're not perfect and they're going to make, yes, we understand that. We understand that you're not perfect. You've been asking for time. I asked on this program already how much time you need. But the problem is the mistakes are being made because of nepotism and tribalism. We are putting party members in position who are not qualified for the jobs, who are not experienced in those positions. But we so partisan, we so tribal, that we have to remove persons who are perceived to be connected to the opposition, to the NNP, even though they're capable and have never shown sign of partisanship. We remove them because we perceive. And we put our party people in place, the NDC party people in place, who can do the job. And everything is a whole trial and error, learning on the job. A kukute is a country we're dealing with. It's a nation we're dealing with. And we don't have time for whooping. We have to get on with it. When will it end? So we hire a brand new press secretary who does not have the qualifications as a press secretary. And when I said so on this said program, the day after, a release was put out with added credentials to what came out before. And we were told that she had a wealth, and I'm quoting here, that she had a wealth of experience in communications, right? Because she's not qualified in communications, but they put, she has a wealth of experience in communications and performing arts. Performing arts, making her a strong choice for this critical position, and I'm quoting here. We all know it's a critical position. The press secretary is a very critical position. But you have to be qualified and experienced in PR and communications and along that line. Right? Additionally, her experience in event management and production will prove invaluable. We're still waiting to hear what her qualifications are for the position of press secretary, because what we hear, performing arts, experience in event management. Well, you know what? I'll keep that. In experience in events management and production. This is what, but they stuck in communication. They are a wealth of experience in communication. Not true. Not true. Folks, we're not getting anywhere if we continue along those lines. The rebalancing has to stop. In Uncle Tilly's words, the rebalancing has to stop. Where it would stop at some point. Are we going right down throughout the 5 years rebalancing? That's all we're going to be doing? And in the meantime, everybody doing their own thing, pecamel, chaka-chaka, and making big mistakes. At some point, within a few hours, on that date, the 14th, we were out of a prime minister. We had no prime minister. Once the prime minister left, and Minister Cornwall was out of the island when he was listed in the release as the acting prime minister, before they sent out the release with Minister Andy Williams being the acting prime minister, we had no prime minister. That's a security breach. The country had no prime minister. And I must say, I have issues with, for more than one, our acting prime ministers. I'm sorry. That's just me personally. Okay? And I've heard it from other quarters, but I am saying here, I have issues with some of our acting prime ministers. And I'm sorry, you could talk from now till the cow come home and say, well, they're human and yes, I know I saw a comment on Facebook when somebody spoke about it, the Minister Andy being acting prime minister, that the person who was speaking did that and stole that and went to, but that individual is not in the cabinet of Grenada. That individual is not sitting in the parliament of Grenada. And when you put yourself up for office, these things has to be taken into consideration because you're leading and you're supposed to lead by example. How do we have an acting prime minister whom weeks ago, it's rumored out there, allegedly so that he's still writing bounce checks, which is illegal, right? You can get arrested for writing bounce checks. And we have our acting prime minister, or you go down the road and you hear he owing $28,000 here, $300,000 there, $1 million in Trinidad, and our acting prime minister, I'm sorry, you can do whatever else you want, but to put yourself up for office with all these skeletons in your closet, that's a no-no. That's a no-no. And it's not just him. We had domestic abuser as our prime minister, acting prime minister. And I could go on, but I don't, it's just not proper. Was no vetting being done? Do we just ask somebody to be a candidate, or they applied, some was asked? Minister Andy was asked. He was called in. He said so himself in the public. He was called in by our prime minister, by the then leader of the NDC. No vetting? I mean, come on. So much so we have to break the law again and try to help out with the people, the businesses, the people calling, the people showing up in the prime minister's office, and give him a loan from the GDB to help take care of some of his business. He went on television, on broadcast at a church. It was being broadcast live, saying that he had committed financial fraud in one of his workplace. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. This we deserve, as a nation, we deserve better than that. We deserve better than that. So we're stuck. We're stuck with this bunch. I don't know. Well, I guess unless they call an early election, we have to pan out with them. But we're asking for proper planning, taking your time. What's the rush? What was the, as a matter of fact, with Superintendent Cohen and the release and the press conference, the special press conference, what was the rush? Could have done it Monday and make the thing nice. Dot all your I's and cross all your T's. Put all the ducks in a row. No, it's all over the place, all kind of name. Oh, listen, let's get this thing right. Coming back to the press secretary. Right there in GIS, there are a number of persons, at least 3, that I can call offhand, in my opinion, can do a very good job and has done, because we've seen them sitting in for the former press secretary in several press conferences. Abigail McIntyre, Sherry Ann Noel, Leslie Ann Johnson, a veteran in the thing. They could have performed, and they can perform as proper, according to them young people, proper press secretaries. Proper thing. I have never seen in my adult days on this island and looking at press conferences and so, a press secretary further explaining what one of the panelists would have said, or had said. And we're talking here, the Prime Minister. And she proceeded to further explain. And the Prime Minister, you know, when as a child, you're doing something wrong, or you're doing not, it don't have to be wrong. Something that your parents, they're not happy with at all. And you get the eye. Well, the Prime Minister had that eye, but Miss Etienne didn't see the eye because she's so busy explaining, right? And then he came in nicely and just told her, that's sort of separate from what we're talking about. And I looked at it and I said, if she was qualified in that position she would have known that she not to do that. I mean, if you saw the Attorney General on the other side of the prime, sitting on the other side, to the right of the Prime Minister, well, that would have been his left. And she was like, she put her hand, she wanted to stop her from speaking. You understand? It's like, ooh, yeah. But that's who all you chose because of a political affiliation for the job. You could have picked get an NDC person who is affiliated to your party, but with the qualification as well. So why? This is expected. And she turned it, she wrapped it up by saying she was, and reiterated, because she said it earlier on as well, that she's so happy that there are in-house media personnel at the press conference so that she can match the faces to the names. She got that job since the 1st of September. You're dealing with the media. Then we have social media, we have all sorts of, we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, we have WhatsApp. So she was happy. And by the way, mind you, it was only 2 media workers in-house. And there was 1 online that attended the press conference, the special press conference. 1 online and 2 in-house. We take a quick break and come right back.
Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode.
Mount Pure natural mineral water begins as rainfall, which percolates through the untouched rainforest and rocks of the Roll River Mountain. This natural filtration system protects the water from pollution, giving us a unique collection of minerals from the natural underground artesian aquifer. The water then flows naturally to the surface under pressure without pumping. As it reaches the surface, it is directly piped and bottled at our processing facility. We ensure that the water stays pure and safe, so that it is ready for you to enjoy the excellent taste and natural health benefits. Not all water can make the grade when it comes to natural mineral water. Mount Pure offers a consistent composition and purity, so we can tell you exactly what you are drinking. Mount Pure guarantees you a perfect taste every time. Don't say water, say Mount Pure. Taste the difference. Enjoy the benefits.
Welcome back. During that week, the Prime Minister held a press conference that was on Tuesday, the 19th of September, 2023. He had a panel including the Attorney General and the chairperson of the 50th Anniversary Celebration Committee, Dr. Wendy Crawford, my good friend. And so we got a little bit more information on what's to come although it was just barely scratched the surface. And still not sure, because it's not sounding like there are many things happening within the next 3 months, the last quarter of the year, which the allocation from the supplementary budget was allocated towards. And we're talking about some 7.7 million EC dollars. So we take the celebration committee because we've been asking time and time again for information on what is happening. And we thought, and there were hints before, that we'd have a year celebration from the 49th anniversary leading right up to the 50th. But things happened and they were not quite ready. So they turned it around to the 50th anniversary. Well, actually, the Prime Minister said from September 2023, and then throughout the year of the Jubilee, 2024. The celebrations would be launched on the 19th of October, and this is according to the press conference now. I'm just giving you some information. And there are some things in there that I really like the hair and stuff. And this one is a no-no for me. The 19th of October is the launch of the 50th anniversary celebrations, the day carded for the launch. And let me let you know right here, for those of you who haven't heard, from October 19, 2023, going forward, that day would be a public holiday, a bank holiday, right? Remember, it was said before by one minister, then they pulled back. Then quite recently, the said minister, Ron Redhead, was asked about it in a town hall meeting. And he said, well, they had pulled back because it's just too much holidays right now. And I'm paraphrasing here. It's just too much holidays now. And it's not productive. Indeed, it's not. But here we go. And we have not heard what's going to happen on the 25th of October. These dates attract different demographics. There are those who didn't think we need a holiday on the 25th of October because we were not freed, as the Americans say. There are those who said, thank God for America. They came in and saved us. So the holiday is right in place. So I do believe now we'll have, and that, some always said that the holiday should have been on the 19th. And so now we have that. So now I guess we're pleasing most people, if not everybody. The ones who didn't like that and the ones who like it. Okay? My thing is, October 19th is, in my opinion, and I know for most people, is one of the most tragic, if not the most tragic day in our history, where our sitting Prime Minister, along with most of his cabinet members and some other affiliates, were lined up and gunned down, assassinated. One of his cabinet members, the woman, the lone woman, was pregnant at the time. And so, in my mind, that is disrespect to the martyrs and their families and friends. And for those of us who admired the revolution, school children, other people from other walks of life, farmers and fishermen, people were gunned down. People were lying on the trucks being shot at. People were jumping over cliffs, climbing down vines for safety. And so in my mind, that's a solemn day. That's a day to reflect and to thank God for his mercies, for those of us who survived, school children. Right? And not to have a Ray celebration on the carnage. And don't tell me the launch of the 50th anniversary going to be a sermon. No. Separate them. We need the launch. The Prime Minister had said it was going to launch in September. It doesn't look like you're going to make the date, because up to now you can't even give us a memo of some of the events, with some of the events and stuff like that. No flyer, nothing, logo, nothing. So you're late, you're behind. Put it for between October 19th and 25th. Put it somewhere in between there. If not, forget October and let's go to November then. Just forget October or early October, before the 19th. But separate them. Don't let's do everything just by knee-jerk and because that's the date you all say, that's the date we go in with, for whatever reason. Well, the chairperson, my good friend Wendy Crawford, tried to explain it, and the Prime Minister backed her up, more or less saying the same thing, which I don't get it. Let's see if we have that clip with the chairperson.
First of all, we have a history that our people need to be aware of. Independence, 50 years of independence, very historic. And we think that since the objective is to tell our story, write our narratives, embrace the good, the bad, the ugly, and because this is our story and we need to tell it. And since the objective of independence is self-determination and creating our identity and understanding our values, our norms, our culture, our history, we have to get to the point where we are not running away from a major event in our history. And since independence is such a historic event for us, a period when we are given a chance to tell our history, what better time could we ask for when the nation will be attentive to not only the celebration of our independence, our period of self-determination, or a period when we have to redefine and tell our story. And October 19 is a story that everybody have told, except have written about, have spoken about, have established the narrative, and all of that came externally. So in the essence of independence and self-determination, we think this is a very good opportunity to tell our story ourselves. And so there is no better fitting moment, I think, when the entire nation is attentive to that period between October 19th and the 25th, that it signifies, it should signify for us that level of independence and self-determination, that here is our story. We are ready to embrace it. It may not be the prettiest or kindest of stories, but we have to at some point, and I think this is a time when we should do it.
But my friend, people wouldn't be attentive to the 50th anniversary celebration. People are anxious. We are anxiously awaiting this launch and for the thing to get on the road. The October 19th bit of it would be a distraction. not an attraction to the celebration. Let's take them separately. So on October 19th, it being an official holiday and all, let's have people talk about what happened. Let's have a church service. Let's do the things that would make people feel that, yes, you care about what happened. And it don't matter how you feel about Maurice Bishop and his gang, because they were not the only ones who died. They were not the only ones who got injuries, right? This thing affected us as a nation. People were scared. We lost families, lost these people, whether Maurice and them forget they've been politicians. They had families. They had kids, young kids, right? So let's do it separate so we can acknowledge the whole idea of October 19th and what it means to us in our history. Why is now we want to talk about it? You say we didn't talk about it for years and we have never really spoken about it. Why we need to speak about it on the launch of our 50th anniversary, independence anniversary celebrations? Let's talk about it on that day, on the 19th. We could start on the 18th because there's a lot to talk about. But let's talk about it then and let's launch another day. Please, we beg it. We beg it. Now, there, I can read to you some of the events that they have planned. And first of all, there are 21 national events. We have no idea what they are yet, but they just know that they told us at that press conference that there will be 21 national events. We have pre-events from October 19th, 2023 to February 9th, 2024. And then we have activities from February 9th to 2024 to January 28th, 2025. So the year, the 2024, the year of 2024 into 2025, 28th of January, we have events would be carded for that period. They would establish a national park, erecting of monuments, and naming national heroes. I love that. I love to hear that. We really do need to do something like that. And I look forward to seeing that and honoring our national heroes as well. And then they have the changing of the names of certain streets and sites, I guess, historical sites, and naming some of them, renaming some of them. They promise us independence celebration, non-partisan, and how I look forward to that. Although from what I heard, when the opposition starts saying that nobody from the opposition it's been invited or is on a committee, so to speak, they have now asked Honorable Senator Nolan Cox to be on some committee, one of the committee, or I don't know if it's an official committee, but he is in there somewhere. And they already throw words that we say, the public say, that nobody from the opposition say, I should say, that nobody from there is on there, and we hope they ain't say nothing now, because now Nolan got one person in a nation of 200,000 people, one person from the opposition. Well, might I say the opposition has 34,000 supporters, one individual named. But let's hope that it's not this person is not NMP, because you know what's going to happen if they can go down that line. We had it from the carnival and the Queen Show, to be exact, and other parts of the carnival as well. where you remove, because this person can't announce because they're NNP. And those are the persons that can do the job well. Finally, we're able to keep true to my segment, Is It True? No pun intended. A couple of weeks has passed and I had some of these, and we running out of time. If you noticed last week, I showed you, some of you were happy, you got a little 10 minutes extra. The ones of you who've been asking for the 90 minutes. Yeah? Is it true that the living boyfriend of the minister responsible for climate change is now advisor to the Minister of Agriculture, passed through the back door somewhere, and is advisor to the Minister of Agriculture, collecting a check of $5,300 monthly, while he still holds his lucrative job at the SGU? Is it true? You don't know we're asking because, as I said, people send in their questions, they're curious, they want to know. Is it true? Is it true he also collects other monthly payments from other ministries, like the Ministry of Climate Change, for instance? Is it true he's also a director on the Grenada Solid Waste Board? Is it true that this duo, the Minister for Climate Change and her living boyfriend, ran up a $40,000 hotel bill in one of their travel excursions on the behalf of the government of Grenada? Is it true? Question. Because he's hired, according to the question, allegedly so, in the Ministry of Agriculture as an advisor. Well, I never see we have advisors. So we hiring people to do the job that can do, then we hiring advisors who can't do the job either. The question is, weren't we told that former CABSEC, Ms. Gemma Bain Thomas, was contracted as advisor to the Minister of Agriculture? Don't ask me why. I don't know if she have a degree in agriculture, if she is a farmer, but we were told. Is she collecting a whooping $6,700 per month for that position in the Ministry of Agriculture? Is it true that senior boxing coach at the Ministry of Youth, the only qualified boxing coach on island in the state of Grenada, is it true he was handed his termination letter on August the 25th after serving for 20 years? The people wants to know, when will the rebalancing be over? That's the nice word Uncle Tilly named it. But it's victimization. It's victimization. When will it end? So we can get the people's work going. Is it true the Chief Personnel Officer at the PSC, sister of Legal Affairs, Consumer Affairs, and Labor, the Attorney General, fell out of grace with the Congress government and was sent on long leave. Well, sister may not be too much of a happy camper if it is true. Is it true? The Prime Minister was one of 2 local agents for the Kawana Bay project on island. The talk of the town these days, the Kawana Bay, and we'll get that next week. Very, very, very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Is it true? Our Prime Minister was one of the 2 local agents of the Kawana Bay project. I remember when I did the narrative, that whole Kawana Bay thing had come up in some way when they had put the executive secretary of the Kawana Bay of the True Blue project on the board, on the CBI board, Mrs. Daisy Andel. And I remember saying to you, the people, keep an eye on Kawana Bay. It was Kawana Bay and Grenland I asked you all to keep eyes on. Keep an eye on Kawana Bay. The chicken has come home to roost. Is it true that a huge percentage of the cases in the Ministry of Labor, pending cases in the Ministry of Labor, that has to do with, which is, I think, almost all the cases in the Ministry of Labor, employee and employer saga, who might get fired and not get paid and that sort of thing, or who retire or resign and then get their money, and issues, all the different issues, including the COVID issue with the SGU COVID issue. Is it true that most of these cases involves our now Prime Minister, who then, of course, was just a corporate lawyer, and that it's a bit sticky when it comes to deal with, and that would might have been part of the reason the immediate former labor commissioner, who they fired for not gelling, according to the Attorney General, that it had part to play with her performing her job professionally. And that, as I heard it, the workers at the Ministry of Labor said she's a nice lady and they liked her and she did a good job. She was doing her job well. Is it true? This former labor commissioner was given a job at the airport as human resource manager, much more lucrative. But is doing a good job there as far as I understand as well, because that was part of her portfolio actually, working in labor, in human resource. But is it true? The job was a hush job, so she could hush. And let's bring down the curtain on, is it true the father of the minister responsible for the seed, the Minister of Social Development, Honorable Philip Tellisford, is it true, sir, that your dad is a beneficiary, is on the seed list And is it true? The immediate former minister, number 10, is it true? Her mom is on that list as well and receiving seed money. And there it is, a mother of 6 telling me she applied for seed, she applied for voucher, and by the way, she voted NDC, and she has always been an NDC. She said, if you cut me, my blood was yellow. And she was refused. She said the principal of the school who encouraged her to apply said to her for the voucher, when the voucher list came back, if there wasn't already named, she would have just take 1 or 2 and give it to her. Because she know the need of that single parent of 6. And we remove visually impaired people, old people who don't have, they might have a daughter or son somewhere working that can't, barely could have make ends meet for themselves. But I want to ask Minister Telesford, they rigged that. They had to rig that to put your name, your father's name there. Remember you spoke about rigging? That's a rig, man. They rigged that. Because I don't know how daddy ended up on that list, minister, if they ain't rig it. That had to be rigged. Folks, that's a wrap on today's episode of Simon Says. Thank you for conversing with me again today. As usual, keeping them honest. See you next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Simon Says. Have a great week. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode.